Good afternoon. Welcome to today's webinar. This is Josh. I'm going to be your presenter today. Topic today is, of course, donations and accounting online giving fees. Okay, kind of a very difficult and tricky topic. We're going to be talking about basically sort of a new approach to the handling of the online fees that we have. We are partner vendors. Vanco Payment Solutions, or Vanco, is a partner vendor of Church Windows. We're going to be using them, and I'm going to be talking about them, and we're going to be looking at their documentation on the document today. But if your church does not use Vanco and you import from a file, folks, you can do the same exact thing, whether it's from a file, text file, CSV file, or from any one of the other companies that are listed in Church Windows. Okay, so what I'm talking about here is, even though we're going to be talking about Vanco importing and using them, if you use authorize.net or Ardent or any of these other companies, or just import from a text file, as long as a report can be produced from their system with the information similar to what we're going to see on our document here, you can do the same exact thing. Okay, so just FYI, I want to make sure that that's clear right off the bat, is that even if you're not using Vanco but importing from a file that you're getting, it doesn't matter whether it's PayPal or Tithely or Zelle or any other place that you're getting e-giving from, if the report can be entered, or report can include from them or be obtained from them that includes the weekly or monthly information, you can still do what we're going to be doing in the event today. Okay, so to back up a further step, as the company that produces Church Windows software, we're always trying to do our best to make things better and easier for our customers and users. Okay, for several years, we've suggested users import online giving batches into a holding account in accounting. Okay, so when I go into my accounting program, and I go into my chart of accounts, we see here we've got an asset account 140,000 called Vanco Holding. That traditionally is what we did. Well, initially that's what we did, because that's what we determined at that point was one of the easiest and best ways to be able to deal with fees, right? And the fees with regards to the ACH transactions, meaning, e-checks or automatic drafts from people's checking or savings accounts, those are easy because there's a monthly fee that's associated with that they basically invoice you for, or they go in and they draft it out of your account based on how much has come in from those ACH giving transactions from members and visitors at your month's end. The ones that are really tricky are merchant services or credit card fees. Okay, so Church Windows imports the full amount of the gift, all right, before any fees are deducted. And we readily admit Church Windows does not handle deducting the fees at all. It doesn't import negative values from Vanco or from any other company for that matter. Okay, so I've been using an example on my support calls for quite a while. Is, a person gives $100 on their credit card, the e-giving company or Vanco may set aside or take a 3% or $3 cut off the top of that for their processing fee, and then you receive $97 in your checking account. Well, the $100 gift that's entered in donations wants to transfer $100 into accounting. Okay, it doesn't import the $100, the negative $3, and then transfer in $97 into accounting. It just brings in the $100 gift, or whatever the gross amount of the gift is from the giver. All right, so we're still left with, or you as the user of Church Windows are still left with having to handle the fees. And that's what we're sort of dealing with today, is a shifting away from the Vanco holding account into what we believe is now an easier way or method of being able to deal with those credit card fees, or fees in general, or even the ACH transactions. And you're going to see that this is, I think, going to be a lot more effective. While that old method has worked and it's done the job, it has brought challenges, oftentimes related to reports and frequently dating issues. Okay, so we're going to talk about that here in detail in this report. So we found another method that might make it easier for you to deal with these fees. So like I said, we're using Vanco as our example today, but kind of substitute your company. If they can give you a report like the ones that we're seeing here, you can make this work, okay? So if we now steer our focus over to the document there, hopefully you've had a chance to go and get that printed, is very first thing it says right there at the very top is reconciling your bank statement with Church Windows Accounting may be challenging when you use online giving company. I know, we know exactly how that is, okay? And this document right here is going to outline how to handle those giving import transactions from Vanco, and then posting one single entry in Church Windows Accounting to deal with that, all of it, at month's end or week's end, depending on which way you want to handle it, okay? First of all, step one, in Vanco, there is a monthly activity report with detail, okay? Again, so if you're a Vanco customer and user importing donations into Church Windows from Vanco, you're going to go right here, unless they've changed their outline or their layout of their website, which they may have. You go to myvanco.com, you sign into the Church Windows account, you go to Reports, Date Range, and choose the Monthly Activity Report and click Search, okay? And then when you click the desired report from the list and click View, apparently the report that comes up is the one that's detailed below, which shows each one of the dates, right, that Vanco has received either an ACH giving transaction or a merchant services credit card transaction, okay? And it shows, okay, here's the deposit we received, okay? And we also noticed that on that report that there is the monthly invoice transaction for the monthly Vanco fee that they charge for those processing those ACH or e-check transactions or drafts, okay? Yeah, I've not opened up anything yet, folks. So I'm just pointing out that the report in Vanco is going to look like this, and it basically includes pretty much everything that we see within the respective period. And the report shows April. I'm using mine for November. Okay, so at the bottom, it does note that you can also perform this weekly if you wish, but in Vanco it's called the weekly activity report with detail. Folks, it's entirely up to you. Okay. Folks, I am not logging into Vanco. Okay, I'm seeing folks popping up here saying they're not seeing me logging on to anything. I'm not. I'm only in Church Windows. I am simply using the screenshots or the shots that are talking about the screenshots that are on the document that you print that's why I went in there and suggested you print those documents first thing, is because I'm not logging into a Vanco account. I'm simply using in those screenshots, at least initially, for their reports that are in the document that I asked you to or wanted you to print, okay? So anyway, beyond that, okay, that's the report you're going to print from the Vanco system, okay? The next step, on step 2, at the top of page 2 on the document, is to either import the donations from Vanco or manually enter them. All right. So in that case, you would go up to, not transactions, you would go up to, back into donations here, and you would go up to import donations from Vanco and do your import via download or via file. All right. And that's then going to allow you to import those donation batches into donations. Now, we're not going to cover that setup or anything with regards to importing donations. Okay. We strongly recommend, folks, and again, this is covered by the direct import download process video and document that's out on the website for importing the Vanco donations, okay? Direct import process, all right, is that we recommend that you set up and use batch codes, whether you're manually entering them or importing them directly from Vanco, to assign the batch codes for both their EFT payment methods and the credit cards. And where you do that is by going to special functions here in donations, up to settings in the upper left, and right here down at the very bottom, let me get out my drawing tool here, right down here is Vanco import download options, right down here. Use batch codes for credit card and EFT payment methods. You'll set that to yes, but you have to have constructed and set up the actual batch codes as they are to be assigned. Okay, I've already created them. So to add those, you're going to go up to donations in the upper left and right across here to the top to batch codes. Let me steer some focus. Right up here. Okay, there is your batch codes list. Okay, and that's where you're going to click when you're wanting to set those up. And you literally just enter a code in a description and click add, and it adds it to your list of batch codes. All right, notice we've got one here called CC code, called credit card giving, and another one called EFT for EFT giving. All right, once those are set up in this list, you're going to simply click OK. Now you've got something you can go back to special functions, settings, and right here, setting it to yes, choose those respective batch codes and assign them to both credit card batch code and EFT. All right, there's a reason why we're doing this, and you're going to see this momentarily. Okay, once you've assigned those batch or set those batch codes, you're simply going to click save in the bottom right. Okay. Because when you import those batches from Vanco, its Church Windows is going to assign those batch codes to those batches. And where they show up when you do that is right here under posted batches. Right here, see? So all of my November batches have either credit card giving or EFT giving, depending on how they were brought in from Vanco and how they were posted in the Vanco system. All right? I've already imported these batches here, and they're already posted, and they're now waiting in my accounting to transfer. Okay. It also says step 3 at the bottom to print. Once all the Vanco batches are posted, validate the donations have been imported by comparing the posted donations against the donations list in the details section of the monthly activity report with detail. This step is your confirmation or validation that the data is correct. Okay. You can compare this, there are a variety of ways you can get this information, folks, in the Church Windows system. I happen to be showing right here under the posted batches window, but you can go up to a variety of reports here. You could do the log report and sort it by date, choosing batch codes, but I like posted batches, frankly. Okay. And the details section right here, an example of the monthly activity report with detail is shown there at the top of the 3rd page, where it shows here's the date and the person's name, and here's what they gave to and how much they gave. Okay. And if there were any fees that were associated with that, notably the credit card or merchant services transactions. Okay. We see that on that 3rd item down. Hey, here's how much they gave. Here's how much the gross amount, here's the fee, and the discount rate, which is that credit card or merchant services fee that they take out of that, all right? Basically, any donations that were imported but are not on the report will be validated in the next month, all right? Like I said, dating and timing is everything with regards to this, all right? So I've already got my batches imported, and then so step 4 is now we're going to go down to our transfer to accounting. So right here when I go to transfer to accounting, we see all of my imported batches. What we don't see are the batch codes. If we go to up here to the upper left and we check use batch codes, now notice that those batch codes are there. Let's go back here, folks. Right here, accounting, Vanco fees, no transfer. Let me go up here and let me bring this up because it does. Yeah, folks, these screenshots right here are the same document that I've referred to at the very beginning. Right here, we've got this, and I believe, unless I didn't go down here, yeah, it's right here. Here's the settings screen. We go down here. Here's the details section of the monthly activity report. Here's the transfer to accounting. Everything that I'm using here, folks, is right here under this document. So again, back at our web, just type in fees, choose the one right here under our fees. Let me get rid of our drawing tool here, my drawings here. type in the keyword fees. Very first thing here, let's clear that out and type that again. Vanco fees, right here, the one handling online giving fees. They all have the, well, the second one doesn't. Sorry, the first one does. Vanco fees, right here. Accounting, Vanco fees, no transfer. All right, let's get back into the software. So, use batch codes here now allows us to see here's how much came in for credit card versus EFT. All right, there's a level of control there that you will not see here at this window until you check the box use batch codes. I know now that these are my batches for Vanco. All right, but here's the deal. I'm not transferring these into accounting. I'm just confirming that the information that I've got here waiting or pending to transfer that I have imported for November is here. All right, right there at the bottom of step 4, it's talking about on the transfer donations to accounting screen for all the Vanco batches, check do not transfer. Okay, so right here, I'm just going to check do not transfer for all of these batches because they're all identified as my e-giving for either credit card or EFT. Sure, I could transfer in the EFT batches if I really want to, but I don't really, frankly, foresee a need to do that. All right, so I'm going to do exactly as instructed. I'm not going to transfer those, okay? So now then when I close out and I go back to transfer to accounting, those batches are now going to be gone, okay? I'm no longer transferring my batches, my e-giving Vanco batches into my holding account in accounting. All right, there's no need for that. Now all my work is done in accounting, and that's when we're talking about the journal entry here at the bottom of page, the third page and the top of the fourth page here, or third page, okay? So now we're simply going to go into, we're going to close out a donation, and again, I could do this, folks, in accounting as well. Okay, I could go up to transfer donations and check the do not transfer boxes there as well, okay? But now my work is all done here in accounting. So I'm going to go up to transactions, I'm going to go across the top to other, and I'm going to choose either adjust asset or journal entry transaction, okay? They're both journal entries in terms of what they post to in accounting, all right? The adjust asset doesn't deal with debits and credits. If I go to adjust asset, I basically choose the asset I'm adjusting, I choose increase or decrease, I enter the amount, and then I have to choose at least one other account at the bottom to increase or decrease as well, okay? So in this case, I can do that. So I could choose asset to adjust, but I don't have the control of the debits and credits I need otherwise, okay? So I'm going to actually go back up and I'm going to choose journal entry transaction instead. All right, so here I'm now going to enter the date that I'm wanting to be able to actually have the transactions affect my accounts. So in this case, I'm going to do November 29th. I'm going to put in here something like, monthly Vanco deposits. Okay. Down here under my accounts, I'm now going to choose my, say, checking account. So here I'm going to choose Huntington Bank checking. I'm going to debit the amount that I physically received as a deposit from Vanco total, which again, folks, is then confirmed on the very fourth page there at the top. Now my totals are a little bit different, but that's where the breakdown occurs. It shows here's how much I received in my gross amount for my ACH or e-checks. Here's how much I received in my gross amounts for my merchant services or credit card transactions. Here's my credit card fee totals, okay? And then, of course, I've got my very first monthly fee that I can include on there as well if I want to, okay? So let's say my total deposits for the month were $1,716.39. So I'm debiting that because that's the amount that debit raises the bank account, right? I now click the plus sign. I'm going to go to my, let's say I've got an online giving fees expense account, okay? And I'm going to debit that for the $43.61 of my fees for the month. Okay, click the plus sign again. Now I'm going to go to my income account and whatever income accounts I am going to wind up crediting, okay? So in this case, we'll choose, maybe we'll just choose general tithes and offerings, but let's just choose that. We can split it out over a couple here. But basically, my credit has to equal the offsetting debits, right? So it doesn't matter whether I split my credit over one income account or 20 income accounts, as long as the credit amount total equals my debit total. Let me get my highlighter again here, folks, right here. Total number, the debit is 1,760. That's my total amount coming in from Vanco for the month, right? The gross amount minus the fees. That credit amount has to equal the same amount. Okay? So I guess that's my point, is that whether you have one income account or 20 income accounts, as long as the credits equal 1,760, then it's going to be doing it, that's going to permit me to post that. Okay. So now I clicked on Add to Batch and Post. All right. And that transaction now for the 171639 will appear on my bank reconciliation as a deposit, right? And so I can clear that at the end of the month, presuming all of my deposits from Vanco in that month of November match that total, which they should per what I verified. Okay, if it doesn't, I can always go back in as I'm reconciling later and make those adjustments or corrections. But if you utilize those reports, folks, per what Vanco has given to you or sent to you, you should have no problems reconciling this. Okay? All right. So use those monthly and or weekly, reports from Vanco with the detail. What does I call it again? Sorry, monthly activity report with detail or weekly activity report. And just make sure that the date ranges that you're entering with those are there. But I don't have any holding account to deal with now. With that being said, we're going to spend the last few minutes here talking about your Vanco holding account. We know that many of you have problems with that. Some of you may have a balance in the Vanco holding account. So if you're considering moving away from this, using this Vanco holding and moving over to this method that we have of importing with no transfer, then you want to make sure that this holding account that we've got is zero balance, okay? However that occurs. So I'm in my chart of accounts. I go to the balance tab right here. I see I've got a $3 balance in that account, okay? I want to clear that out, okay? You may not, you can't, while you can go in and try to run the general ledger and try to figure out where that fee comes from, you could hardly be blamed for basically wanting to just get rid of it. Some of you may have a negative balance in that account too, okay? But if you just want to, it's probably going to be hopefully fairly small. But if not, call us if you need help with it, okay? But I just want to get rid of that $3 balance unless I want to go back and find it. And I can run the general ledger for the month where it shows up if I want to figure it out, but I just want to get rid of it. So I'm now going to go to Transactions, Other, and Journal Entry Transaction. Same thing. I'm going to enter today's date, or I can enter any date. It doesn't matter. I can put in today's date. I'm going to put in, clear Vanco holding account balance. Okay, down here, I'm going to choose my holding account. All right, it's got $3 in it, so in order to take it out, I have to credit that to remove that balance. And then I'm going to click the plus sign. Now, folks, I have no idea whether I should be I don't think I should be affecting an income or expense, so I'm going to post it directly to my, say, general fund. Okay, I'm going to just take that $3 and debit that out of there. Can't take it out of another asset, right? Because then it shows up on the bank reconciliation. All I need to do is just get this out of both sides of my balance sheet equally. And how I can verify now that this holding account is now zero is when I click Done Add to Batch. And right up here, folks, in the upper right corner, I'm going to click Show Running Balance. This is a really powerful tool in this software, folks. If I click Show Running Balance, we now notice Vanco holding adjusted balance now shows as zero. That's exactly what I want. All right. If I determine later I shouldn't have taken it out of my general fund and I should have taken it out of somewhere else, I can make an adjustment at that time. But it's doing what I want. I'm going to post this. Finally, with just a couple minutes left, if I'm shifting over to this Vanco import with no transfers for dealing with fees, I don't need that holding account anymore. I'm going to come right in here. I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to check the inactive box right there in the upper right on the detail tab, right here. Okay? Why? Because I don't want to have that account show up when I'm posting my donations into accounting anymore. I don't even want to be able to choose my Vanco holding account to post a balance into. So as long as I check it inactive, it will not appear there for me to choose when I'm transferring donations. Old habits are hard to break. So if you don't need that holding account anymore, inactivate it. It won't show up. It'll retain a zero balance. I can then consider deleting it next year. Okay? But that now, when I go back to the balance tab, now confirms the zero balance to end December. It's back to zero. Okay? So that account won't even show up when I go in to transfer my donations into accounting to choose anymore. It will retain the zero balance for the remainder of the year. Okay? Just a very important kind of cleanup part of that at the very end of that if you're shifting over to this no transfer from donations for those Vanco batches.